never know, no, you never know what to expect because this life's absurd. Hello, and welcome to Cory's Corner. It is a Mental Health Monday, and today we're going to be talking about the halo and horn effects. Yes, very interesting stuff. These effects actually have widespread impact on our society, and most people aren't even actually aware that they're occurring. That being said, I would like to welcome you all here to this wonderful show and remind you that if you're not subscribed, you should hit that subscribe button for more random weird crap and some psychology thrown in here and there. Yeah, should be an interesting time. And I guess happy President's Day for everybody who's got the day off and whatnot. Super fun and exciting there, I guess. Whatever. I was forced to take the day off, so I won't necessarily complain, but at the same time, it's like, President's Day? Really? Whatever. So we'll start with the halo effect while we wait for people to trickle in. I'll just give some brief overviews of what these effects are. Yeah. So the halo effect is when you have a positive impression of someone and it lends them with other positive qualities. It lends other positive qualities to them that they may not actually possess. An example, the most common example in this realm is saying that someone's pretty, therefore they're probably smart and successful at the same time. My preferred halo effect example is they're a famous celebrity, so they can't fuck little kids, right, Tom? That road to perdition. Yeah, he's riding that shit. Hail to Sean Landrigan. How you doing, buddy? Glad to see you here. Glad you could join us. Now, the horn effect is literally the exact opposite. Landrigan liked my example there. That's good. Is the exact opposite effect where you'll have a negative impression with someone and it will take away all of their good qualities that they have, and you'll just assume they're a piece of shit, right? Hail to Josiah Robinson. Good to see you. With the squatch just striding right on in. That's awesome. And the best example for this is you meet someone and you think they look like an asshole. Maybe they have resting bitch face. Maybe they have resting douche face. Who knows? But you automatically assume that person's going to be a grumpy piece of shit asshole and they can't be smart or know what they're doing or anything. So fuck them, right? That's just how that works. I'd give you a real life example, but there's way too much halo effect overtaking the horn. Yeah. But anyway, this is actually one of the most impactful things that we experience in our society today because, well, look at the amount of celebrities that we have that we assume are wonderful people because they're celebrities. Like, look at me, I'm famous. I must be wonderful. Yeah, there's no way I'm just an average Joe piece of shit. And the problem with the halo effect is, of course, engineered social proof. You know, so if you're looking at someone who's not necessarily attractive, but they hold, say, 5 PhDs or whatever, and they're sitting there touting and spouting about how men can have periods, let's say, their credentials might lend credence to what they're saying. It'll have a halo effect on the words that come out of their mouth, on making them seem like they're smarter than they are. And they're really not. They're just kind of stupid, and they're looking for their 15 minutes of fame, which a lot of people do, but whatever. Now, the problem with this is we lend credence to, well, we'll go back to the celebrities with the halo effect. Why are they social activists? What makes them smarter than everybody else? Absolutely fucking nothing. And the importance behind that is they're icons and idols for society. They've been the leaders of society for a very long time. Highly influential people running around pretending that they're more than just the dancing monkeys that they are meant to entertain us. Like, you know, with the, what is it? Organ grinder? Yeah, that's what that box is. It's an organ grinder. Yeah. But, you know, like, why the fuck would I buy a credit card just because Samuel L. Jackson says it's good? It's the halo effect. because we see him, we recognize him, we're automatically connected to this motherfucker, um, and we just assume that he would back good products. Never mind the fact that these people make money to support these products. You attach a pretty face to a car commercial, people assume that car is good because it has a hot ass next to it or something. At least that's how it used to be. Not these days. Apparently, they want everybody to pretend like they're race car drivers or some shit, which explains a lot. But anyway, one of the biggest problems I have with the halo effect is when it's applied to politicians. And the reason that I hate when the halo effect is applied to politicians is because you'll get stuck on a single issue platform a lot of the time and say, well, they don't support X, Y, or Z, so they must be a wonderful candidate. Never mind the fact that maybe they're trafficking children or sniffing little girls or showering with their daughters. But that's besides the point. Um, the halo effect applies to everything, and this includes the relationships that you're in. Oftentimes, we get hooked on somebody when we're starting a relationship simply for the fact that they're attractive, which is a completely normal and acceptable way of judging someone right off the bat, in my personal opinion. Oh, Landrigan says, it's my birthday. Thankfully, I have today off. Happy birthday, Sean Landrigan. I do hope it's a wonderful day for you. And I do hope that, excuse me, goodness gracious. I do hope that you get some cake for sure. And make sure you have a piece of that cake for me because I am currently cakeless. And I know it's your birthday, but I need to be selfish and ask you to eat some cake for me. Now that I've said that, I do want to say happy birthday again. I would sing it for you, but apparently people don't like that. Josiah Robinson says, unless I use a product or service already, a celebrity endorsement makes me less likely to buy or use it. That's good. That's good. And Sean says he'll eat that piece of cake for me. Win. Diabetes by proxy. Yes. So good. Anyway, yeah, celebrity endorsements rely on the halo effect a lot. There's a few other influential psychological processes going on there. But the reality of it is, you should never trust something just because you recognize the person hawking it. This is like pyramid schemes on social media, to take it out of the celebrity realm. You know this person from high school. You were really good friends. You drank beer with them under the bleachers during the homecoming game, and you really like them. And now they have a great idea to make money fast. Previous nostalgia can lend a halo effect to a present situation, even on somebody that you haven't seen in like 20, 30 years. You're all like, oh, well, I know this guy. He's awesome. He's totally trustworthy. It's not like anything could have possibly happened that changed him into a raging money-hungry douchebag, So why not? Why not? And the next thing you know, you're getting your house foreclosed on because you listened to Jimmy's harebrained idea about selling deep fried lug nuts or some weird shit that was going to totally work out. But the halo effect is a big problem. I'm going to step this back to the personal relationship level. Oftentimes, when we get involved with someone based on their looks, that halo effect makes us believe that they're smart or that they're funny or et cetera, et cetera. And then once we get to know them, the halo effect wears off and then we start running into issues. Many people would say the 7-year itch is a result of this, even though that's not true. The 7-year itch is a result of people being absolutely stupid in relationships. But that's also one of the reasons that people change as your relationship with them progresses. You're very welcome, Landrigan. You're very welcome. See, over time, we lose the misconceptions we have regarding other people. We start seeing things about them that we previously either didn't know or didn't really care too much about because they're so pretty and they're so funny and they're wonderful. And that's where you see relationships starting to fall apart. You run directly into the wall of holy shit, reality is a thing. And the problem with the halo effect is it's actually very resistant to outside influence. Unless direct evidence is presented. It's not like one of those self-propping delusions that people have where they can just, go on believing and double down every time someone says they're wrong or proves that they're wrong. The halo effect is something that it's resistant to change until the person experiencing the halo effect is given direct evidence to the contrary towards their haloed person's actual behavior. And then this, of course, leads to a bunch of other issues that could or possibly could not, affect the relationship. Depends on the individual makeups. But the halo effect is a huge deal. And it also happens with business. That's why you see a lot of virtue signaling. Virtue signaling coming out of society is a hope to artificially induce the halo effect on a company or a person or et cetera, et cetera. And we see this with energy companies. Oh, we're totally for green energy, right? Totally for green energy. We're going to cut our fuel production down by like 90% by 2030 or some weird shit like that. And like a whole bunch of soft brain people are like, oh my gosh, they're wonderful. Never mind the fact that they're dumping all of the actual waste from their production into the local golf course or whatever. People don't care because the words were pretty. And the halo effect then kicks in and they're more likely to consume those products. Virtue signaling is the number one halo effect of all time. Because the number one attempted social proof induction, whatever. My brain's not connecting those like full sentence. No. But anyway, and Disney is incredibly guilty of this. They have this overwhelming halo effect of providing family entertainment for almost 100 years before they decided the butt plug needed to stay in their ass. Now, I'm very crude, by the way. Oh my gosh. For those of you who haven't seen this show before, welcome to it. That's not directed at you. That's more directed towards YouTube. Yeah, we'll say that because YouTube fucking sucks a lot. But anyway, Disney benefits from the halo effect in a lot of ways. They're family friendly entertainment for 100 years. Oh my gosh, they were so wonderful. Keyword there being were. They can hide behind the halo effect to then start initiating and instituting change that isn't necessarily beneficial for anyone, but because they have the halo effect, they're more likely to get away with it. Hence the reason they had their own like secret police brown shirt division in Disney World, and hence the reason they had all kinds of, money thrown towards, say, Star Wars and stuff that could have been better used if you flushed it down the toilet. Honestly, or better yet, you could have just like lit it on fire like the Joker did and just watch it burn, because it would have been more profitable for Disney at this point. But that's besides the point. They bask in the halo effect that they receive from the broader population. And of course, we all know, if you're watching my channel, chances are you're not one of the soy-soaked fucks. So I'm just going to come out and say it. We all know Disney is a piece of shit. But the halo effect is protecting them in the minds of housewives, children, and soy boys everywhere, making sure that they're morally good in the eyes of most of their consumers, despite the fact that this isn't actually true. I mean, you can look at any of their financial reports and show that they don't have the fiduciary interests of their people in mind. So how exactly are they a good corporation? It's all the halo effect. The halo effect can be applied through anything. Your favorite doctor recommends a new antidepressant. Oh, well, it must be great. Never mind the side effects that it causes bleeding ulcers or, eyeballs to fall out or any random weird side effects of the shit that they fucking make these days. Take this to get rid of your psoriasis. Anal bleeding may occur. What? But I digress. The halo effect is a normal everyday thing, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But being aware of it helps a little bit in stopping the false social proof that these people are actually good. As long as you have evidence to the contrary, you can fight against the halo effect. Or as long as you have a rational, reasonable mind who errs on skepticism most of the time. Hail to Christian DeLorme from Christian DeLorme's Vinyl Revival. Make sure you're subscribed to him and make sure you watch the Cory's Corner, the one about Christian DeLorme that just happened this Saturday. Hail, he says, bonjour, everyone. This is part of my workday. Well, I'm happy to be a part of your workday, sir. Yeah, overall, to y'all in the chat, have you ever experienced the halo effect where something made you think that someone was amazing or something was amazing and you just ignored all the other proof? It's kind of hard to self-identify these kinds of things in some cases because most people don't actually put a lot of thought into it. But please, in the chat and in the comments, let me know if you've ever experienced the halo effect where you thought because of this, it must be good, even though it turned out maybe it wasn't so good. Maybe it wasn't as good as they promised. Maybe it was actually just absolute garbage, hot shit garbage. You know what I mean? Of course you do, because you've been there. Got an itch. Hold on. Anyway, which, of course, we'll hit on the horn effect now. The horn effect is the literal opposite, as I said earlier, of the halo effect, where a single negative interaction or a single negative impression of an individual completely colors their entire existence as being negative, or that person being a piece of shit. Like, say your first impression with someone, they're having a really bad day, an uncharacteristically bad day. And if that's your first impression of them, you're going to assume, make an ass out of you and me, that the individual is like that all the time, because that's the only impression you have of it. Landrigan says, basically anything Disney. It should be good considering their past, but it's garbage. Indeed. Indeed. That's prime example. Hail to the lovely Sherry. Wonderful to see you today. Ma'am. Ma'am. Yes, I'll call you ma'am. But so with the horn effect, these are much more lasting effects when you get to the horn effect. And that's why it's so useful in political attack ads, but we'll get there in a minute. The horn effect, going back to our previous example, when someone is a douchebag, it's oh, my bad. My bad. My bad. But my girlfriend was the ultimate halo effect. Your first girlfriend was, Christian's first girlfriend was the ultimate halo effect. And like I said, that happens in relationships all the time. You see something about someone and you assume that they're awesome. And it's not true. This is pissing me right the fuck off. Just gonna fix my hair. Gonna be so much better. Okay. Now, the horn effect, going back to our previous example, once again, when someone is an asshole when you first meet them, you're going to automatically assume that that person is an asshole. Period. And we don't often consider extenuating circumstances that might actually make these individuals just be having a bad day. Like when you meet somebody for the first time right after, say, their parents died or something, you're probably not going to have the best impression of this individual. Which is why first impressions are actually bullshit, by the way. But the horn effect is actually so powerful because we as human beings are programmed to recognize negative input and negative stimuli long before we recognize positive input and positive stimuli. And one of the things that I would use as an example for this in my life is in the past, I was a rage monster. Okay. And I mean, an actual fucking rage monster. I would go off at pretty much anything at all. I would just, and of course, that doesn't make for a great first impression for a lot of people. And at the time, it wasn't technically a horn effect. But when I met some people, again, from those days, and they met me, and they automatically assumed I was going to be a piece of shit still. Um, it colored their relationships and their overall ideas about who I am as a person. Um, Now, most people will tell you I'm very personable or I'm a good guy or et cetera, et cetera. So it's not a huge deal for me now. But back then, it would cost me jobs. It would, people would automatically assume that I wasn't a good fit because I was kind of uptight. And that it's understandable to do that. But once people who actually had the horn effect towards me started realizing that I'm just kind of in a bad place, uh, it lessened the effect of the horn. It lessened the horn effect to the point that I could actually make friends, right? They didn't see me as just an angry drunk. They saw me as an angry drunk who has some problems. And that chipped away at it a little bit. Now, the horn effect is a problem because once you have that first impression in your mind that a person is a complete and total piece of shit, you won't let that go. You actually hold on to that. Like, that person is just a total douchebag regardless of the situation. I don't care. They're an asshole because of X, Y, or Z. And it lasts for a really, really long time. That's why we see political hit ads or hit pieces in general on in the newspapers about people. Okay, one of the main examples I'll use in this is a very controversial example, but I will say Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, this is a man who simultaneously suffered from the halo and horn effect. Um, Depending on the side of the political aisle that you're on or your personal values or whatever you want to bullshit you want to spout about your feelings towards this individual. I have no strong feelings one way or the other. But people on the left, for instance, just saw him as a madman with a gun because he defended himself and killed a pedophile and a couple of gangbangers, right? And people on the right saw him as a hero because he stood up for himself and tried to stop himself from being killed. He exercised his rights, and therefore he's a good guy. He's wonderful, and and you see the effects of these things. Um, CNN or any of the other major news outlets did their best to instill a horn effect on Rittenhouse through hit pieces and stating that he's white supremacist or that he's some crazy nut job who just wants to kill people, etc. And it did a decent job with its target audience being the crazy leftists who already drink the soy milk straight from CNN's tit. But then you had other people like Fox News trying to lend the halo effect to him, stating that he was a hero or, various things like that, when this isn't necessarily true either. He was literally defending himself. So therefore, he's not good or evil. He's just a dude. That's how I see it anyway. And the reality of it is his life changed forever, not only because of his actions, but because of the halo and horn effects that the media decided to place on him. And of course, this had huge impact on his life. He made quite a bit of money out of an anti-defamation suit, I believe. And he's done like he's been a guest on talk shows and stuff like that. And he's turned it into a fairly lucrative enterprise for himself. Morals of that aside, this is a direct effect of the halo effect and of the horn effect. And of course, it also allows us a unique position and opportunity to see what happens when the two effects collide. And in the case of Rittenhouse, what happened was the horn effect that he eventually overcame from CNN for a lot of people, or name an outlet, wound up strengthening his halo effect on the other side because he won the case against them or whatever happened there. I don't know if they settled out of court or if he actually won a court case or anything like that. I don't know. But The realism of it is the Horn effect that was originally placed on him by the leftist media allowed him more credence and more credibility via the halo effect given to him by the other right-wing news organizations. Um, and this, of course, placed him into a faux legend status among quite a few circles. I myself don't hold that belief, but whatever. He's just a guy. Now, that being said, we do see this happen quite a lot in the world, and that's why the media uses these constructs, for lack of a better term, so effectively and so regularly. We see it with politicians, we see it with celebrities. The Army Hammer thing is uh, a huge example of how that halo effect can turn on you. Mm. Especially when the halo effect is strong enough that they're believed to be a morally incorruptible person. Um, when they are found to be corrupt or are made corrupt over time, uh, the halo effect can wind up doubling down on the horn effect um, by making them seem like the worst person in existence. Um, like I would go back to Tom Hanks as an example. He had a huge halo effect where everyone, because of his ability to act and pretend so well, everyone thought he was a really great guy and they loved his movies and et cetera, et cetera. And once the truth came out about him, which nobody denied, by the way, nobody officially denied him fucking children. Not that I saw. But once that happened, he successfully developed a rightfully earned horn effect from a lot of different people. I won't say most because there's still some people that are like, oh, well, I can detach the fact that he fucks little kids and just watch my movies. Like, don't you just love the movie Big? Um, Not anymore. And that's really the corruptive abilities of the halo effect in general and how bad it actually is in society when we lend um, unsupported credence to people because of a celebrity status or because they have a pretty face. um, we are doing ourselves a massive disfavor. We're doing ourselves a disservice, whatever you want to call it. It literally fucks you over. Now, the horn effect is often a Trojan horse. Okay. Or not a Trojan horse. That would be the halo effect. The halo effect is definitely a Trojan horse. It allows you to let a lot of bad shit in under the guise of something good. Like, oh, big tits must mean great personality. Wrong. Uh Now the horn effect, see if I can get my brain back on track here. The horn effect, uh once it starts falling apart, actually, in my personal observations, seems to increase the amount of actual bonds that people have with the individual that was affected by the horn effect. Um, Meaning that once a misconception on the negative side is actually removed, that person is more likely to have meaningful bonds with the individual than an individual who has a broken halo effect, where they're like, oh, I really liked this person. And then this turned out to be true. I'm never talking to them again. Hail to the snail messiah. He says, I'm here. Sorry, I'm late. It's all good, bro. It's not like we take attendance. But when the halo effect is broken, it has such a lasting effect that it will literally ruin lives. When for this happens in marriage. Okay. Oh, we have a wonderful, great marriage. We're compatible, we communicate, etc., etc. Then it turns out homie or homegirl has a porn addiction. And said porn addiction then colors the entire relationship. It sours their sexual relationship, it sours their personal views of each other, and it can eventually lead to something as bad as like a divorce. Oh, hail to Jason Fox showing up in the studio. What's up, buddy?
Hey man, sorry for being late.
Oh, it's all good. All good. How you doing?
I'm late, but I'm not gay.
Word.
I'm doing pretty okay. Just been relaxing a little bit.
Hell
That's all
yeah.
I've been doing. And then I saw you were alive. I'm like, oh fuck, right. I need to jump on.
Well, today we're talking about the halo and horn effects. I don't know how much of the show you've heard or whatever's going on, but
No, I
um,
just came in while you were basically talking about divorce and if even if you're a nice person in a way, it doesn't mean you're a nice person, and that is just the facts. We all have met those people that can act really nice. They want to be quote unquote your best friend, and at the end they just fucking backstab you.
yep. Yep, and that is a direct result of the halo effect. The halo, real quick, I'll just go over a recap of what they are. Halo effect is when one positive interaction or impression of an individual colors that person in a positive light, no matter what. The horn effect is the exact opposite, where one negative effect colors that person in a negative light, no matter what. Um,
Yeah,
as I've been saying, the halo effect is a big part of individual and interpersonal relationships
yeah.
where, oh my gosh, she's hot. She's got to be great. Turns out
That's
she's
not.
like got an IQ of 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
a woman can be super hot, but it doesn't mean she's a good person or
exactly.
smart. You don't know.
And the same thing goes with guys. I mean,
Yes,
we won't we
exactly.
won't we won't draw gender lines here. People do this. People
Yeah,
use
all
this.
people, all people.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the time. Snail Messiah says, I have not heard of these and I must now read about it. Please do. It's not a super in depth reading, unless you want to go into the broader effects of uh, the interactions it has with other psychological principles. But Snail Messiah says, I like dumb girls. I bet you do, sir.
Yeah.
I bet you like the malleability of a dumb chick.
No, it's like,
But
you always have people out there who wanna act like they're the nicest person and give you all the compliments and all that, and, really fucking with your ego in a way until
mhm,
they have your trust and they know how to, like, control you in a way. And,
yep.
that's in a way when it comes to, like, communities and other stuff that I've seen through the years, no matter if it's YouTube or other places or whatever. That's what I've been seeing a lot of happening, and that's like a big problem that I just yeah, it fucking annoys the crap out of me. It's just like just because you can say it like this, you're a fan of someone, it doesn't mean that person is the greatest person in the world and you don't need to treat them like a god. But if they do something, one mistake or something like that, they're just like, oh, it's fine. He's still a great guy. He's all this, no problem. But
Right.
that's not how it is, man. Like he could have done the one of the worstest, most worst thing ever, and they will still support him. Like I've seen this with, we could take celebrities for a good example there.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you have a lot of these actors who do a lot of fucked up shit. And then again, you have all these people who are like simping for him, like, oh, but it's okay, it's like that. For fuck's sake, I've seen people defending R. Kelly of all people.
Mm-hmm. R.
And that's
Kelly,
not
what's this fuck? Ezra Miller.
Ersa Miller.
Yeah.
And it's because, oh, but he is a great person, he probably didn't mean all this kind of stuff. It's like, come on. Come on.
Yeah, for real. And then that actually runs into a very interesting paradox, which we run into with the halo and horn effect. Is once the halo effect has taken place, for diehard true believers of their fucked up delusional thoughts, um, is like with Ezra Miller, for instance,
Yep.
uh, he had such a strong halo effect with these weird ass fucking communities,
Oh, he
the
did.
trans trenders, that the
Yeah.
moment he started beating women and doing
Yeah.
crazy shit and stupid shit like that, they were like, "Oh, it's totally fine," because the
Yeah.
halo effect justified mental
Yeah.
disorders, and
Exactly.
that's dangerous as fuck.
And
All
he
right.
he 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 knew how to use his privilege with his pronouns with the people who followed him, and he used that too. And when he got taken by the police, he used that, "Oh, I'm a transgender," all non-binary transgender thing,
Mhm.
and that's quote unquote spoke out to the people in the community, and that's like, "Oh, it is a hate crime," it's and he did a lot more worse stuff than that too, when he with that young girl that came, to the set when she was like 12 years old. And, they have been had a
Groomer.
yep. And they even, they were traveling, they were running away from everybody and everything. And yeah. And people are still like, yeah, but the Flash movies can still be good, and he's still a great just shut up.
For
That's
real.
something that I've I've almost lost my mind on so many streams where when we talked about this guy,
Mhm.
because I have known about him for many years before Justice League, before all that, and he was still a problem child that whole time, but nobody really cared until, he got more famous. But
Right.
yeah, but this
Yep.
but yeah, that's
Snow Messiah says it's like Lars Ulrich from Metallica. Great drummer for Metallica, not so much for anything else, I think. And even for Metallica, I would argue that he's not the greatest drummer they could have chosen because Lars really loves that snare. Too much. Too much. Too
he's
much snare,
okay. He's
more
an okay.
cowbell.
He's an
I'd
okay
argue.
drummer.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
he's definitely not the greatest. I'm not good with
No.
names or else I'd say it, but that what was Pert? Is that his name? Christian Neil Pert from Rush. Like he's a fabulous drummer. Oh my
I've never
gosh.
never thought about who I think the best drummer is.
I'm just thinking of who good drummers are, and
Mm,
Lars doesn't pop
yeah.
into my head.
No, I'm, like, thinking about Queen and other bands,
Right?
that has
Right?
great drummers.
Right?
But no, again, I have, been a fan of a lot of bands through the years, and they have done a lot of fucked up shit. And I will never be like, "Oh, this person is great. I'm gonna defend them in every single way." I'm not gonna let that affect, the Halo and Horn effect affect me with
Mhm.
this kind of shit, because one of the bands I was listening to a lot when I was younger was Get Scared or Get Scarred. I don't remember, but I do remember they lost the first vocalist because he quit the band. And then the new vocalist they had for one album, he did some really shady shit, and the police came and they found, certain stuff on his PC. It's like I always say, yes, he had a great voice. He made great fucking music that was magical at that time. But you don't support a person like that. He did some terrible things when it comes to children, but there's still people who were, simping for him and talking good about him and all that kind of bullshit. And I've even seen other artists still releasing music with his vocals on it, and they still support him. And in a way, no, he didn't do anything wrong. Well, he did do something wrong, but again, that's the effect that you're talking about. So
Mhm. And we don't just see this with celebrities or politicians, even though they're the two biggest perpetrators of the halo and horn effects. But that's because they've been trained and conditioned to just do that automatically.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, I'm super fabulous,
It's
but
like, "Oh, I'm gonna
you're
agree
not.
with everything you say. Oh my god."
Yeah, and it builds the halo effect is one of the things that builds a cult mentality.
Yeah.
Um, Especially when it goes unchallenged. Just look at Jim Jones. Um, but have you, Jason, ever been a victim of the horn effect,
People
where
basically hate.
someone automatically makes a negative assumption about you based on a single aspect?
Oh, yeah, all my life.
Mhm.
I'm
And
used to it, so I love it. I use it for my my own.
yep, and sometimes the horn effect is accurate, where we go, "Oh, that
Yeah.
person's got blue hair. That's
Yeah.
a fucking psychopath, not going anywhere near her."
Yeah.
Um,
I used to have blue hair.
well, you're not a woman, so, it's fine.
No, I'm not. I did it
Um,
before the transgender took it from me.
yeah.
Now
The
I'm
the
bald
only
with
time
natural
I've
hair.
ever The only time I've ever seen blue hair as being acceptable outside of Marge Simpson is when those old ladies dye their hair that really weird blue-gray color. Like, that's
Yeah,
the only time that I'm like, "Well, I guess
yeah.
that's fine."
No, the only
But
time I did that when I was an emo and all that kind of stuff. And I always loved coloring my hair because I liked anime, so that's, just a typical thing
yeah,
until I just stopped. Uh, but yeah, I've experienced that. I say certain stuff online, for example, because I'm so fucking vocal, and because of that, I get labeled as a bad person like that,
yep,
and they will run with that. There's a reason why you don't see me on old channels I used to be on because my opinions, but that's how
right.
it is. And then they will label you for the rest of the time, like, oh,
Mhm.
we can't have him on, for example, because we can't control him, and he will say stuff that we don't agree with. Yeah, we can't have him on. He's a bad person. So yeah,
Right.
that's like a good example, for example, of that.
That is a good example, and, I feel like the YouTube world and the streaming world in general suffers from this, a lot worse than, like, the Horn effect, more specifically than the Halo, um, than most other types of people.
Yeah, because you
Um,
see that all the time. Like, I don't know how much you are on Twitter, for example, Corey. I'm on Twitter every day because talk with people I work with and know and all that kind of stuff. And there's always drama. And yeah, I'm not gonna name names, but yeah, there are big YouTubers that have been in a big drama. We hear about it all the fucking time on YouTube and Twitter. And it's like both sides there are basically you have the halo effect on the people that just defends one part and they treat the guy like a god and everything he does. We're gonna support everything and they don't want to disagree with him. And then and then you have the other parts who are gonna attack, and it's like, yeah, you have this whole world with the Halo effect and the Horn effect in the YouTube community there all the
well,
time.
and one of the reasons that it's actually so effective, the Halo and Horn effects are so effective on YouTube, is because YouTubers are flawed. We don't hide our flaws as much as most people do, unless, of course, you're a Roblox YouTuber that likes to fuck children. But that's a different story. Um,
Sorry, sorry.
when you're given direct evidence to show that the person is
Mm,
normal, flawed
yeah,
individual, but they're doing something that allows you to connect with them on a deeper level, that can actually make the halo effect that much stronger. So when it turns out that they have some worse negative shit that you didn't know about, it's less impactful on you. This, of course, can happen with the horn effect as well, but once you're a piece of shit in somebody's eyes, that's typically the end of the road. Mostly due to uh, contempt, which
yep,
is the only human emotion that shows up asymmetrically on a natural scale. But at the same time, it's the only one that you can't get rid of. Once someone feels contempt or a moral superiority towards you, they will not turn back from that. That's one of the
yep,
reasons that divorce happens so often.
yep.
Snail Messiah says they do that with people with a certain religion. This is true. They
Mhm.
can do nothing wrong, and if something wrong is done, it is white people's fault. Uh, yeah, they like to do a broad halo and horn effect with
Yeah,
immutable characteristics, skin color, height, etc.
yeah.
Like for
Especially
instance,
religion.
yeah,
Religion is a big one.
when it comes down to religion, all you have to do to gain a halo or horn effect is state your religion. It doesn't matter which one it is. You could say you're a Hindu, and some people will automatically hate you for that. You could
Yep,
say that you're a Christian. Some people will automatically hate you for that. You could say you're a
yep,
Muslim, etc., etc. It doesn't matter what religion it comes from.
mhm,
It happens, and it happens on
yep,
such a deep connective level that
yep,
it's a self-reinforcing delusion for a lot of people.
yep,
Like when you see the mega churches like Joel Olstein or
mm,
uh etc., whatever, their following lends the halo effect that they're legitimate and that they're connected to God. When in reality, they're just stuffing millions of dollars behind their toilet because they don't know what to do with all the money that they're gaining, and they don't
yeah,
actually give a flying fuck about what the message is that they're sending.
yep,
As long as you're groveling at their feet and not at the feet of the actual God, that's totally fine with them. And
yeah,
I
and
I say it that way on purpose to dig at Catholics. Idol worship is not okay. But anyway,
Yeah,
um,
and it's like for me, who's a Norse pagan, and unfortunately, being in the the Norse pagan world, we get really looked down upon because we have the Nazis who basically took that part of my belief and made it into something else. So at once as once you say you're a Norse pagan, the first thing people are thinking, you're a Nazi, you hate black people, you hate everything like that. That's one of the
right.
first things they will. So you'll be labeled, and with the horn effect, they will hate you. And you have some people like you and others who like, yeah, accept it. That's no problem. You know, but you will be really heavily just yes, you are. I have friends who are Christians and Muslims, and they get looked down upon at once just because certain people out there are bad people that has that religion doesn't
Hmm.
mean everyone with that religion is bad. If you're a
Right.
Muslim, doesn't mean you go out do terrible stuff. If you're a Christian, doesn't mean you go out to convert everyone to be this or that. But just because some
Right.
people have done this kind of stuff, you will be looked down upon by
Hmm.
others. And
Yep. And there's some insulative things that we can do to protect ourselves from the halo and horn effect. A lot of them require some self analysis and some like self exploration, if you will, to understand our biases. But really, what it comes down to with the halo and horn effect is the primary thing is you can't put any stock in first impressions because the first impressions are literally designed to have an effect.
yeah,
Some people are great at those first impressions, but then they turn out to be
yeah.
total douchebags, but
Oh,
you're
yeah.
already in bed with them, so how bad can it be?
Yeah, right.
Other people, they give really bad first impressions, but they're actually really good people.
Yeah,
Now,
I've experienced that with certain people. I just in the start, you're just like, I really don't like this guy."
mhm,
And suddenly, you talk a bit more with the person, spend more time, and suddenly, "Oh, you're not that bad after all."
indeed, indeed. And one of the best ways to protect yourself against the halo and horn effect is to understand what your, for lack of a better term, triggers are.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah,
Like if you have a serious problem with the Muslim faith because of extremists,
mm,
that's going to throw a horn effect on a Muslim guy that's working at the gas station or anything
yeah,
like that. And you need to be able to recognize when it's a bias towards a
mm,
people that's coloring an individual or if it's something that's actually based on that person's behavior.
yeah.
Um, Snail Messiah says, show some love for Mental Health Monday. Leave a kind like. And Cory, he's awesome in the comments section. Um, yeah, I try. I try. I'm still one of those YouTubers that likes to reply to as many comments as I can.
That is
Sometimes
the
I'm just
best,
like,
Mm.
what do I say to this?
Yeah, right. No,
But
I understand you, man. It's I'm trying my best to when we stream to like look at all the fucking comments, but when it goes like wild, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. So sometimes I just say on stream, I'm sorry if I haven't gotten to your comment because it's too many, but I'm trying my best to read them all. And if there's nothing I understand, I just, when we are a bigger panel, I'm just asking the other guys, just like, do you know? Do you know? Just like, and then just make a fool out of them, I'm not afraid to make a fool out of myself. So
right.
I'm gonna put it on them.
Now, another way that you can actually protect yourself against the halo or horn effect, this is a minor protection and not anything that's guaranteed success, by the way. So don't treat this like it's the gospel. Um, you have to be authentic at all times, and that's a pain in the ass. As a person who does speaking from experience, being authentic 100% of the time is a fucking challenge because your emotions get in the way sometimes and you just don't feel like dealing with shit. But if you're authentic all the time and you're giving people an accurate impression of who you are as a person,
Yeah.
um, then they will make an internal judgment call on the kind of person you are.
Yep.
88 plus percent of the time, random arbitrary number, but it's very high percentage of the time, you'll wind up with a neutral effect instead of halo or horn. They'll just go,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, that's it. He's a guy. He's a dude. Cool. I don't know much
Yeah.
about him, but
No, exactly. It's like
he's a
when
guy."
it comes for example, when you are gonna do like YouTube and stuff like that too, and you want to like connect with the audience, it's just be authentic, be yourself. Even though, yes, we all, even if emotions sometimes shows, even though it's not always fun to show your emotions all the time, because you want to do a good show, but sometimes that happens because we are flawed and we are humans.
Yep.
But that's what I've always been about, is being yourself, even if people agree or disagree or whatever it is on a panel or the chat. Just be authentic, be yourself, and talk, have a discussion, and people will judge you for that. And that's why I always say, either you hate me or you love me. I really
Right.
like, you hate me, you love me, I don't care. I just want to be myself, and if you like me, we that's all cool. If you hate me, well, that's also cool, you know?
Hmm.
If you're in the
And
middle, that's also cool.
right. And another good way of going about life, at least in my personal opinion, is to recognize that people, regardless of their status in
Mm.
any way, shape, or form, are literally just human beings, which
Oh,
means they're
yes.
flawed, they're fucked
Mhm.
up, they're occasionally beautiful individuals, and they're
Yeah.
gonna make mistakes, they're gonna do good things, they're gonna do bad. Like, you have to understand that, like The Rock, for instance, Dwayne Douglas Johnson, um, is literally just a dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't
Like,
treat him like, no, don't treat any people like a god.
yeah,
Treat them like
he's
humans.
they're literally just people. And when you put a
Yeah.
person up on a pedestal, you're guaranteed to be disappointed in some way, shape, or form. But
Yeah.
that being said, you have to recognize that Bill Gates is just a fucking dude. If you punch him in the
Yeah.
nuts, it's gonna hurt. You know,
Exactly.
none hyper intelligence, being rich, being pretty, uh, whatever, does
It's
not make
nothing.
them a
It's
good
nothing.
person. Yeah, it's literally just an aspect of their personality.
Yeah.
Period. Snail Messiah says, I'm horrible at first impressions. Sometimes second impressions aren't that great either. Sometimes third impression wasn't that great. Also, the name of my sex tape. Well, that's fair. That's fair. And see, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we have to recognize the fact that we're going to meet people that we're just not going to get along with,
Yep.
period. There are people in this world that we are going to like more than others. There are
Yep.
people in this world that we are going to absolutely fucking hate just
Yeah.
because they exist.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And
that
sometimes you're
happens.
just like, and sometimes you can, there are people that you are like, okay, I can be around, but I don't care much about the person. I don't hate or love the person, but the person's, it's okay. You can, it's okay. So it's like that also.
Hmm. Christian Delorme says, flawed and human is one thing, but she should always strive to become better. And most stars hate star status except for the self-absorbed. And that's one of the important things to remember, is to stay humble in all your dealings. Because the moment you get a big head is the moment you can fall over really hard. Because big heads are heavy. But it's an important thing to strive for improvement, but you also need to temper that with the fact that you're not living for these other people. Okay.
Yep.
You do not need to change yourself to fit anyone else's ideals. You do not need to change yourself to fit anyone else's life, in any way, shape, or form, unless that person means enough to you that you want to do so. Because that's where it boils down to. But that's kind of a
Yep.
different discussion.
Yep.
Um, with the halo and horn effect, it's very important to remember that we're people. It's very important to remember that we all have flaws, and it's very important to remember that no matter how good a person may seem, they're still a person. So they're fucked up. Martin Luther King, great halo effect around that guy. Wasn't necessarily the greatest uh, person in the world, but he carried the proper message and he had a lot of positive change.
Yep.
Um, Mother Teresa, I can guarantee you, was not a saint. Um, Gandhi was an advocate for violence. That's a weird thing for a lot of people to hear. But, Gandhi, Mr. I'm peace, love, happiness kind of guy, was an advocate for being your true self. And that meant if you're a violent individual, it is better to be violent than to put on the impotent cloak of nonviolence. Because you have to be true to yourself. But at the same time, you can't ever assume that a person at their face value is giving you their full authentic self. Um, it's That's just how life is. And
Yep,
unless
I
we're
agree with that.
aware of the halo and horn effects, we can't actually start fighting against them,
Yep,
because I prefer authenticity 100% of the time, even
same
if it
here.
makes even if it makes people upset. Like, I've alienated people that used to watch me and all kinds of stuff because I won't listen to them saying, "You shouldn't do that voice. It's really offensive when you do that Valley Girl voice
Aw,
because it feels like you're attacking gay people."
aw.
I
Oh my
am.
god.
So whatever. I don't
I feel
fucking care.
offended. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go on
yeah.
Twitter and cancel. Oh my you know?
Exactly. And that's the important thing to remember about Halo and Horn in general is
Yep,
it doesn't fucking matter one tiny little bit what other people think about you.
yep,
It goes down to the speech from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that John Candy gave. I like me, so I'm not going to change.
yep,
If something you're doing is causing you discomfort, then change it. If it's not and your life is working for you, don't
yep,
allow the halo and horn effect of other people to color your perception of yourself.
and change your whole personality to just fit
Mhm.
in, and because we see this with other people in the world, they change because, "Oh, I wanna fit in here because I can't be myself," and yada yada, because it's not okay. So they change themselves, and
Yep.
that's not a good effect. It's really
It's
not,
really
because
not.
you lose yourself and just to please someone else.
Yep. And like sometimes the changes you need to make are in fact changes that need to be made. But a
Yep,
lot of times, you're allowing a person's opinion of you to directly influence the control you have over your life.
yep,
And this is actually another effect of the halo and horn effects is that it allows for manipulation to take place.
yep,
And manipulation is a big deal for me because I went through psychology training to not only detect when someone is being deceitful, but to remedy manipulation tactics, if you will, or mitigate manipulation tactics. And I've been seeing them everywhere, and they're getting worse, worse and worse and worse and worse. But yeah, hopefully anyone who's watched this program will at least have a better understanding of the halo and horn effects, and they'll be able to protect themselves against it, at least using it in their own lives. It's unavoidable, but you can at least recognize it when it happens from time to time. Oh, we are in the last 2 minutes of our show, so I think we're just going to go ahead and wind down.
yep. Well, I came really late, so I'm still sorry I didn't see it
Oh, dude,
before.
it's totally fine. You added a great deal to this show in the half hour that you were here.
Yeah,
Made it a
happy to
great.
help.
Snail Messiah says, I manipulate a lot, mostly when I teach. It's kind of needed sometimes. Yes, manipulation
Yeah,
is occasionally needed, especially when you're molding young minds, but it's at that point it comes down to intent.
yep,
But again, that's a different discussion. So,
yep.
Jason, what you got going on in the near future?
Well, we of course, you can find me on 540 Studio, my channel. We're on Thursday. We're gonna do the Beyond show, but we are debating of dropping the Thursday shows. So we're gonna go down to Wednesday and Thursday. But we'll see what happens. But other than that, it might be Tuesday now. The Beyond 5cast on Wednesday and Beyond on Thursday. And I am gonna do more 5cast once in a while, other days, just because I can and it's fun. We have guests on, and we have a little bit different discussions of certain stuff, not just pop culture 24 fucking 7. It's kind of good to talk about the other stuff too.
Indeed. Indeed, it is.
And and no, I'm gonna, I'm talking with some people, trying to get them on. There's some interviews, so I'm still talking with Chuck and Mike to get them back on. And there's a lot of other shows that I cannot talk about yet, because they're in the works. Other than that, I also have released a teaser on the YouTube channel of some music that I'm working on.
Hell yeah.
So, so it's black metal, so it's heavy music, it's more than black metal.
Hell yeah.
But other than that, thank you for inviting and have me on, man. Even I'm a little
Hell
tired
yeah.
today, as you can hear on my voice, but I've been really sick in a couple of days, so
Yeah, I was
but
pretty sick last week, so I
yeah,
feel
but
that.
as like we say, be yourself, don't be scared of who you are. Be real, even if you have your flaws. And like we said, I'm not, I'm a little not feeling too well today, but I'm still here, and I'm not afraid to show that. Oh, I am flawed. I'm human. I can get sick. I can get depressed. Whatever it is,
Right.
it happens.
It does. It does indeed. And thank you very much for being here today and
Yeah,
bringing
was
so
fun.
much to the last half of this show. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be Dick's News US tonight, and of course Monday Meltdown. So make sure you catch me there. Um, should be a normal week, and by normal I mean I'll actually be doing live streams. So awesome. But anyway, until next time, stay sexy, don't get murdered, and as always, have a wonderful time. Bye bye.
I